Hey guys, it's Gaba VR and today I'm gonna show you the secret of a very spectacular video effect in an advanced version with a moving camera. And these are not only small movements like cropping into a 4K video, but in certain cases they can be really big ones, like panning or following somebody crossing the scene. Or there can be some random movements, looking quite unpredictable for the viewers. So it's a really cool technique with a lot of freedom. We can meet some variations of this effect time after time in music videos too, like in this One Direction video from 2014 or in this Ariana Grande video from 2018. Of course there can be some differences like freeze frames combined with some echo or RGB glitch effects, but it's only the matter of taste. The basis of the actual effects are really similar and they are also a little bit limited because they are shot with traditional cameras with a tripod or some motion control tools. But now let's see how we can create something like this with a 360 camera and a short post-production. Or if you're interested about my teleportation effect and this cloning scene with the moving camera, check them out on my channel. And for further 360 content and tutorials, don't forget to subscribe too. But now let's start with creating some motion trail effect with a 360 camera. This time I'm shooting with an Insta360 One X, which is a small action cam, but if you have a higher budget production, of course you can go higher in resolution too with a professional 360 camera. And depending on your scenes, you can shoot from a tripod or even with a handheld camera to add more motion to it. It depends on you. But in this case I'm shooting alone as a one-man crew, so I use a tripod and I will add all the camera movements during post-production. This time I go to the wine hills searching for some nice spots for my scenes. I set up my camera on eye level and start shooting. I'm playing around with various movements, walking simply or raising my hands, turning around and jumping to make the scenes look really exciting. And I repeat the same movements in different distances from the camera, so I can make a dynamic cut during post-production. But of course we can create a cool one-take shot too. The most important thing is moving a little bit sideways as much as possible, walking around the camera or crossing the scene in an angle. When we're walking straight to the camera, we will be hidden behind this so-called future trail. So we have to move in angles, providing a clear view to the talent in each key position. As you can see, when I'm walking towards the camera, I try to do it a little bit diagonally. Or in other cases, I simply walk around the camera or passing by the camera, just like in this case. And besides shooting 24 or 30 FPS, we can set the camera to double speed to create slow motion shots if needed. In this case I record everything twice in a location with a normal and a double speed setting, so I will have more choices during post-production. Unfortunately, Insta360 One X only shoots in the highest resolution with real HDR video feature in normal frame rate modes. So shooting slow-mo, I have to sacrifice a little resolution and dynamic range. That's why I record everything twice, because when I don't need double speed, I will use the high resolution HDR takes. Shooting with an Insta360 camera, I take the advantage of the non-stitch workflow, so I import my raw INSV files directly into Premiere. Of course there are pros and cons of the non-stitch workflow. Having a slower computer, it's a little bit harder to edit them in Premiere, but on the other hand, you don't need to waste so much storage. Usually I create proxy files and it takes some time, but after all I don't need as much storage as in that case when I stitch and render all the videos beforehand, keeping the original and stitch files too. So in this case I just import the unstitched files and create proxies to make it easier to edit. I create a new sequence from the first video and start editing. First I cut the scene, setting up the starting and ending points. Then I zoom in a little bit to see what is going on and I pick up the frames I'd like to freeze. I cut the original footage, duplicate the end of it and add a frame hold. Then I move the still frame to the beginning and adjust the end of it to the cut. Now I create a rough mask around me. And as you can see, the first key moment is created. I just repeat the same process a couple of times depending on the length of the video and how wide the shot is going to be. You know, when I'm walking a little bit further from the camera, it will be a wider shot and probably there will be more empty space in the frame. So I create as many future trays as needed to fill the frame. Maybe I won't get to all of them, because finally I cut the scene shorter, but I want to create the illusion of continuity. So sometimes I have to expand the scene a little bit and create stills from the moments which won't be on the scene. And it's just the same in closer shots too. I think it looks really cool when a future trail appears as the camera is turning around, doesn't matter whether I finally get to that point or not. But now as I created the base of the effect, it's time to bring these scenes to life. And if you have seen my previous videos and you think you know what's next, you're probably wrong. Sure, I will reframe the videos, but not the way I used to do it. I searched for the reframe plugin called Gaba VR Reframe, just like before. But this time I won't use it as usual. Normally I would drag and drop the reframe plugin on the video, but this time I do something else, creating an adjustment layer first. You know, when I apply an effect right on a video footage, it affects the single clip, but an effect on the adjustment layer affects everything under it on the timeline. And now this is what I need. I show you why. I just turn off the still frames for a while and align the first adjustment layer exactly on the top of my first scene. Then I activate the reframe plugin. There's nothing special at the first sight. I just slightly set up the direction, creating keyframes, and it looks normal. The camera is following me as I'm crossing the scene. But when I turn the effects layer on, you can see that now everything is in the same 360 space, while the original video and the still frames act like they were one single video. The reframe plugin affects all the layers the same way, and I don't have to copy and paste the same settings on them. Or I don't have to nest the videos before reframing. Even more, this way I can create further frame holds if needed, and they will be added to this 360 space automatically, as long as they are under the same adjustment layer. So as you can see, it's a really cool solution to work with multiple 360 layers and reframe them in one single step. And it already looks really cool on wide scenes like this. But looking at the ones where I'm closer to the camera, I add a little blur to the upcoming stills. So they won't be so sharp right in the beginning, and then I slightly decrease the amount of blur as I'm getting closer and closer to them in the scene. I think it looks nice. As you might experience, masking is not always so easy. So when I like the video I created, I go on with one more step, drawing more precise masks. It depends on, but in most of the cases I do it in Photoshop, because it has more advanced masking tools than Premiere. So I turn off the rough mask and export a PNG of each frame hold. Then I open them in Photoshop, create a perfect mask, and save them as PSD files, so I can modify them later. After that I import all the PSD files in Premiere and replace the original frame hold clips. So now I'm sure that all the masks and transitions are perfect. I hope you like this new approach of this classic motion trail effect, and now you know everything about shooting and editing it in 360. If you like this video, please thumbs up, and for further 360 contents and tutorials, please subscribe and share my contents in the 360 community, and hopefully I see you next time.